What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another episode of Just Jets, episode 299. One more away from 300. Wow. How about that? We've done a lot of episodes of this show. I'm excited to get into this one with you. The Jets coming off a win over the Cleveland Browns. Short week, so quick turnaround. The Jets play Thursday night against the New England Patriots. We'll get into some of your reactions from this game, a little bit of a look forward, and some other questions in the voicemails. But what I wanted to talk about was the Jets win streak. Yes, two, I'm counting it. I know it's really like, you got to get to 3 before it's a win streak. No, anything more than 1, I'm counting as a win streak for this Jets team who struggles to win any games, let alone win 2 in a row, which is what they've done. Can the Jets steal an upset win? That's kind of where I'm at right now. And look, I'm going to be completely honest with you at the start, which maybe I shouldn't have done that because it might ruin the entire segment, but you guys know me. I'm pretty transparent with you guys. Anything is possible in the NFL, but my brain is telling me it's unlikely this week. Drake May is playing at an MVP level. The offense for the Jets has been incredibly inconsistent. It's a short week. They're on the road. They're massive underdogs. It just doesn't scream golden opportunity to extend the win streak. The Pats have rattled off 7 straight wins, but instead of saying they're not going to win, okay, let's go to the voicemails. There's a world where it happens. Any given Sunday is obviously something that gets said a lot, but it's true. Any given Sunday. Did anyone think Buffalo was losing to Miami this past week? No, nobody did. I mean, there's plenty of examples of upset. It happens every single week, but what would have to happen for the New York Jets to extend their winning streak to 3 games? We're going to skew positive in this one, at least in the intro. Number 1 would be that the quarterback, Justin Fields, needs to play like he did against Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. That much is a no-brainer. Those were by far his 2 best games of the season. And unfortunately, there's been 4 times this year where he's had under 50 net passing yards in a game. It's very, very, very challenging to win that way in this league, which is, again, I think, unfortunately, part of, not the only, I'm not saying Justin Fields is the only reason why they're 2-7, but part of the reason why they are where they are is because of the quarterback play. And we saw one of those games was a win against Cincinnati in the game that he played well. And the other was a game that they should have won against Pittsburgh. Jets should have won in week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that was maybe the best he's looked in his entire career. So I think you would need to have that kind of a performance. Clearly not one of those, 7 for 15 with like 42 passing yards and 4 sacks and a fumble. Like, that's not the recipe for success for this Jets offense this week. I don't think they would be able to survive that against the New England team. Defensively, they have to create a turnover. The Jets are the only team left in the NFL this season not to have an interception. They need to steal a possession. They can't play and win this game straight up without winning the turnover battle. And interception is just, that one's a fumble I would obviously take, but they still haven't had an interception yet this year. It's almost unbelievable for it to get to this level. I mean, last week, unfortunately, Jarvis Brownlee had one go off his face. He actually tweeted, and I have all the respect in the world for him for this. He was like, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially was saying like, I need to be better, talking about his play from on Sunday. And I appreciate that as a Jets fan. That's accountability to the fullest extent. And I think I said pretty much all along, but have been maintaining that the Jarvis Brownlee edition has been a good one. Even with that said, he had a rough game on Sunday. He didn't play well. He had multiple penalties, the dropped interception. It wasn't a great game from Jarvis Brownlee, but I appreciate him just owning it and being like, that can't happen again. I need to be better. That matters to me. I appreciate that. And, I hope he's rewarded this week with an interception. That's like, put good karma out there, get good karma back. Breece Hall. The last 2 games, Breece Hall has put the offense on his back. It needs to happen for a 3rd game in a row if they want to win. Against Cincinnati, it was the two rushing touchdowns and the passing touchdown. Against the Browns, it was the long screen, 42-yard screen pass that ended up being a touchdown. He needs to take over this game. Without Garrett Wilson, I think it's going to be a tough day for the passing offense. So Brees has got to take over in the passing game, and they need to rely on him on the run game. And also someone that I'm looking forward to watching this week is A.D. Mitchell, making his Jets debut. Special teams. I called them out in my video yesterday in a positive way. They need to continue to be elite. They are the number one special teams unit in the league by DVOA. I just continue to push that way. Continue to trend that way. Great punts, no missed kicks. Maybe you get a big return. It doesn't have to always be a touchdown, but maybe you flip the field position game with a long Isaiah Williams return or a long kickoff return from Kene Nwanu. That matters. That stuff absolutely matters. And while, again, I think personally it's unlikely for the Jets to come out and pull off an upset win on a short week, I think there are some things in this game that I would sign up for even in a loss. Like, it doesn't have to be a completely lost week. Like, if the Jets go out there and lose 30-6 in prime time, I'd feel very, that's kind of same old Jets vibes where you got a little bit of momentum, a couple of wins, and then you get embarrassed in prime time. This week doesn't have to be a failure with a loss. And I know we want to see winning games. I'm going to be there with you as well and say the same thing. But not every loss is built the same way, especially in a 2-7 season, right? Like, this is a coaching staff that's going to be here next year and has a strong chance to be here in 2027 with the amount of draft capital that they have acquired over the next 2 seasons. So can you be punchy? Can you play back and forth with a team that's one of the best team? I would argue the best team in the AFC right now. I know Indianapolis is up there, and credit to them that, they're winning a lot of football games. But this is the hottest team in the league. They've won 7 straight games after starting 1-2. They have an MVP candidate at quarterback in Drake May. If you're able to do that, and you know what, like, Drake May gets you on the final drive and you lose like 24-20, you know what? Sometimes you got to tip your cap and go, we're just not ready yet. And no one should think that this team is ready, by the way. Have you watched? They started 0-7. They're 2-7 to begin with, and we've talked about them being talent efficient all year. I don't know very many people that predicted them to have an above 500 record. So you're going to lose games that way. But like I said, it doesn't have to, not every loss is built the same way. How did we feel week 1 versus how did we feel against Buffalo or against Dallas? That felt pretty hopeless, right? And even the loss against, I think Carolina was just frustrating because they couldn't do anything offensively, and kind of the same thing against Denver on the road. But I will give Aaron Glenn and his staff some credit for this. They've been significantly more competitive over their last 4 games. Their defense held the opponent to 13 points or less in the 2 losses that they had. Then you had a come from behind win on the road in Cincinnati, and then you had a pretty, was it a pretty win? No, but it was a game where you were able to overcome your offense not playing well. You get after the quarterback, you have a couple special teams plays, and what do you know? You win a game 27-20. So again, am I going to sit here and tell you that I think the Jets are absolutely winning this game on Thursday night? No, I didn't pick them to win. I picked them to lose 24-17. But it doesn't have to be, man, like, night game in front of the national audience embarrassed. Like, they got embarrassed against Miami this year in a standalone game. It was embarrassing against Denver in the standalone game because of how inept they were offensively in that one. Just don't embarrass yourself. Take a tangible step forward, which it feels like this coaching staff has done at least the last 2 weeks. Grow on that. Continue to grow on that out of the bye. That's my hope for this team and for this game. We're going to get into your voicemails, but first we're brought to you by Sleeper here on Just Jets. Think you know football, then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players with more stats than any other daily fantasy app. Just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Pick more or less from their predicted stat lines, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use my promo code O'Leary, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. New offer, there's a free $20 no deposit required promo. Terms and conditions apply. All right, let's get into it. We're going to get into the voicemails, and my man, Liam from Staten Island, was calling in with a reaction outside of MetLife Stadium.
Hey, Matt, Liam from Staten Island here, calling soaking wet from outside the stadium. Nice to see a win this year. Pretty cool. I'm also a Ranger fan, so home wins have been hard to come by this year so far. But as much as this was a win, honestly, the Browns outjetted the Jets. I mean, taking a bunch of sacks, not being able to execute certain plays, tons of drops, bad quarterback play, defensive miscues left, right, and center, and then to end the game on a jump 4th and 5, false start, or offsides, just so Jets that it's shocking it wasn't us blowing that game.
That's true.
But, you know, I'll be irrational for a few seconds. 10-7 still on the table. Playoffs still on the table. We're on a win streak. All right, enough of that. Back to reality. Fields was terrible again. The line looked all right. You know, it seems like a lot of those sacks were on Fields for just holding it for forever. Brees, another phenomenal day. Thank God we didn't trade him. I really hope we re-sign him. Hopefully AZ Thomas and Garrett are both good to go. That hit on AZ was bad.
That was tough.
But Garrett, hopefully he's all right. I mean, good win. You know, you got to go face New England, who is a great team right now. So, you know, not much hope for next week. But, you know, for these last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we did everything you could expect us to do. You got 2 wins out of it. So, you know, not bad. My question for you for next week going forward is, what do you think are some things the Jets are going to need to do to beat the New England Patriots? You know, Drake May's been phenomenal. What are we going to have to do to get a 3rd win and keep the streak going? And as always, go Jets.
Liam, we were on the same page today. I wrote out my notes before listening to these voicemails, so I did just run through a bunch of them. But, even to throw another one in there, I think they're going to have to get aggressive, too, from the coaching staff, right? Like we saw against Cincinnati, the down 8 test from Aaron Glenn where he went for 2 and got it, and then they went down the field and scored and went ahead. Something along those lines, or going for it on 4th down, a fake punt, a trick play, in addition to all the things that I rattled off, right? Like defense needs a turnover. Brees Hall needs a monster game. Jets special teams need to continue to do their thing. Justin Fields needs to be the better version of Justin Fields that we've saw this week, this season, and for this week. If they do that, they'll have a chance. But a lot has to go right, as I'm sure you're aware, for the Jets to pull off this upset win. Let's go out to Scott from Montana.
Hi, Matt. Scott calling from Montana. Please use this call. I lost my train of thought on that first call. Anyway, fun game today. Fun game to watch. Nice win. Really pleased with the Jets' defensive effort today after all we felt after trading Quinnen and Sauce, how poorly our defense would be for the rest of the year, how well they played. Will McDonald was fantastic. The pass rush rejuvenated today was nice to see. It was nice to see the guys who would refuse to trade. Will McDonald, Brees Hall was terrific. Jermaine Johnson, even Quincy Williams played pretty well today. It was nice to see the guys we held on to really, really respond and play well today. And that's the reason for my call is I didn't call it the trade deadline. I was busy with work, but I was as shocked as everyone by the moves that we made, but I didn't mind the trades we made right from the get-go. When you get a haul like we got for those two, I think you just got to do it. And yes, it makes us worse for the rest of this year, but we were a bad team anyway. We weren't going anywhere. We might as well build to the future. And now we have 8 picks in the first 2 rounds the next 2 years. That's potentially 8 starters. And even if we don't hit on all of them, maybe it's potentially 6 starters. And we have now more cap relief. We can do more in free agency. We'll still have mid-round and late-round picks to add to the depth. We can still make trades. I was okay with the trades. I really was. And, I know people say, well, now you got to hit on these trades. You still got to find a quarterback. Yeah, that's all true. But you can be positive and optimistic, or you can be negative, and I choose to be hopeful. So I'm okay with what the Jets did. Great win today. And I never thought I'd say this, but I think I got to shout out Tony Adams. I think Tony Adams played pretty well today. It seemed like I saw him out on a lot of tackles, and I, kind of like everyone else, have never really been a Tony Adams fan. The final thing, Matt, when Breece Hall scored, even though there were 12 minutes left on the clock, but once we got up 7, the way our defense was playing, I thought it was over. I felt pretty comfortable that Cleveland.
Good point. I did too.
Put a touchdown on the board the rest of the way. All right, Matt. Thanks for everything you do. See ya. Go Jets.
Yeah, thanks for your comments, Scott. I think that's a good point right there. I felt the same way when Breece Hall scored. It felt like that was the real turning point, right? Because it was a slugfest. It was back and forth. It was a 17-17 game. They were kind of hanging around, and that was my exact feeling on it too. Was like, all right, that's what they needed to close this one out here. On your point with the trades, they certainly set themselves up to have the opportunity to land a good future, right? Like, so often with the Jets and just teams in general, when they draft these young quarterbacks, it's like, all right, you got to be our savior, and there's nothing else really around you. Sam Darnold, the perfect example of that. Zach Wilson, yes, he had significantly more talent than Sam Darnold did, but that offensive line was absolutely atrocious when he was starting games too. And, part of it is the individual player itself, right? Like, I don't want to say, Zach Wilson goes to Buffalo, he's a Hall of Famer. Like, some of that is kind of BS and overblown, but you can do things to help prop up your quarterback. And I think with all the draft capital that they have, they're going to have that opportunity to, have their offensive line finish. You feel really good about their 3 pieces that they have in under contract next year in Olu and Armand Membu and Joe Tippmann. They just have to make a decision what they're doing on the interior, right? Like, are you going to bring back any of AVT, John Simpson, and Josh Myers? Like, what's your plan there? And maybe they have to address it through the draft. Maybe they retain some of those guys. Maybe they go other external free agents. But, another thing is they'll have some cap space to move some things around. But you're right. You want to put your young quarterback in the best position to succeed as humanly possible. Peter from the beautiful Hudson Valley, he's up next. He's got some reaction as well.
Matt O'Leary, thank you so much.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped Peter. We're going to get to Jerome. You heard Jerome's voice. We'll get to Jerome after.
Hey, man. It's Peter calling from up in the beautiful Hudson Valley on this Sunday evening, a Victory Sunday. I'll count on Victory Monday as well. The Jets beat the Browns 27-20. I actually came home to watch the whole game, and I was glad I did. An ugly win is still a win. We'll take it. As Coach AG said after the game, they won with grit. They've been winning with grit. Let's keep doing it. And as I said, Ohio and 2, since they beat both the Bengals and the Browns. They took care of all the Ohio teams. Anyway, short week this week as I got to go up to New England to play the Patriots on Thursday night. So, possibly without Garrett again, since it looks like he was inconsequential in the game, unfortunately, but maybe his knee was bothering him the whole time.
I think so.
And without A.T. Thomas, dang, that friendly fire from Sherwood really sucked. Saw that they moved Brownlee outside, and looks like Oliver played nickel corner the rest of the game. We saw some of Stickers come in, but mostly it was a total team effort on defense to try and hold them down. Thank God. But dang, special teams. Wow, I was so happy to see both Wongwu and Williams with those 2 return touchdowns. And who knew with Isaiah Williams, after they cut him and then basically signed him back to the practice squad and then brought him back to the roster, all within like a 2-week period, that he'd sort of redeem himself, and he hasn't had any, knock on wood, issues since. So that's a good thing. Obviously, shout out Will McDonald with 4 sacks. JJ got 1, Quincy got 1 too. So yeah, obviously the offense didn't play real well. But we still got to do something. A lot of people thought maybe Tyrod should have came in the second half and gave him a spark, but hey, at least they won.
It worked.
And the win
They won.
So we'll see how they do against New England on Thursday, who is number 1 in the division, considering Miami beat Buffalo. If you got any thoughts on who else might be stepping up this week, that's kind of my question. We want this team to just play as a team and play with grit. So, as always, go Jets. Let's keep rolling.
Keep it rolling, Peter. Yeah, for my step up, kind of I don't know if this is cheating, but it's my own show, so I guess not. But I'm going to say A.D. Mitchell, Peter. I know technically he hasn't played a game for the New York Jets yet, but with Garrett Wilson out, by default, he becomes your wide receiver 1, right? Allen Lazard was healthy scratch last week. There's no point of playing him. Josh Reynolds is still hurt. You know, I think it's going to be time for A.D. Mitchell to prove what he is at this level. And, you know, in Indianapolis, a lot of the conversation was, oh, he's just buried on the depth chart. Is that the case? Because he's not going to be buried on the depth chart this week. He will have every opportunity to be out there and to make plays for this team. It depends on how often they're looking to throw. I don't think they're going to throw the ball a ton in this game, but if, I don't know, Fields has 25 passing attempts, can he have 3 to 5 catches in this game? Can he have 5 to 7 targets in this game? I would think that A.D. Mitchell, Breece Hall, and Mason Taylor are your best bets in the passing offense this week. John Mechie was quiet. He had the end around play that didn't end up working. I didn't like that play call, to be honest with you. Tyler Johnson, Isaiah Williams, like they're gonna have their opportunities to get plays too. But I'm most excited for A.D. Mitchell, I guess partly because we haven't seen him yet. And then also on top of that, I think he has the highest ceiling. So I want to see what this guy is. And if he steps up, that'd be a big help for this offense with Garrett Wilson out for the next little bit. Now we get to Jerome from Savannah. He wants to talk about whether or not the Jets win was an accomplishment. Let's talk.
Matt O'Leary, thank you so much for taking my call. This is Jerome from Savannah. Matt, Jets fans are proud little peacocks today, strutting around with their green and white plumage because they beat the Dylan Gabriel, or the Fighting Dylan Gabriels, as I like to call them, yesterday. Last week was the 100-year-old reanimated corpse of Joe Flacco. Look, in the immortal words of George St. Pierre, I am not impressed by your performance. Okay, look, this is not a time to be happy. Okay, basic competency is not an accomplishment. All right? And yes, you very correctly pointed out, all right, because you're a great content creator, you're a knowledgeable Jets fan, and you do a wonderful job.
Thank you.
That everyone and their mother thought that the Jets weren't going to, or knew that the Jets weren't going to snap the ball, and the Browns still fell for it because they're the Browns, the aptly named Browns. All right? But these last 2 weeks, it's like I beat my cousin Allison, who's 15 years younger than me, at NHL Hits one time by 25 goals. Was that an accomplishment? I mean, I still talk shit about it afterwards, but I felt like a moron because no, of course not. It's not an accomplishment.
Yes, it is.
All right. You want to impress me? Beat the Patriots on Thursday night. Now, that is not going to happen. Okay, and all I'm going to say to that is I hope you got a fresh bottle of KY because it's going to be hard, it's going to be fast, it's going to hurt, and there's probably going to be some painful crying at the end.
Oh, man.
In any event, that's number one. Number two, Matt, we need to just admit, and I know I'm not breaking any new ground here, but I was rooting for Justin Fields so much at the start of the season. I mean, the playbook with this guy is a page and a half. And Connor pointed it out on one of the other podcasts. It's not. Yeah, he's so mobile. He's so fast. He runs so well. He also doesn't run anywhere but out to the outside. And if you contain him, he can't run. He doesn't run between the tackles like you would see Lamar Jackson do, or somebody like that. It's just ridiculous. And he can't throw. And I mean, I know you can't throw interceptions if you don't throw the ball, but he still managed to do that yesterday. It's like, go in your closet and cry. Anyway, Matt, talk to you later.
That was some call from Jerome. He made me laugh multiple times on that call. So thank you. I said this because you commented on one of my videos. I don't remember which one, but the point that I made back in my reply and that I'll make here for this podcast, I think you're missing the point on. You're correct in saying that competency isn't an accomplishment in general, in broad terms, but with the context of this regime, I'm not talking Saleh, I'm not talking Gase, I'm not talking Bowles, talking Aaron Glenn in this regime, showed at many points throughout the first 7 weeks of the year incompetence. And I think a coach who is going to be here in 2026 showing signs of competence is an accomplishment. Showing signs of improvement is an accomplishment for someone who's been at the job for 7 weeks before he got his first win. And they won back-to-back games. Now, I'm not saying that they are going to rattle it off 8 more wins and be 10-7 and be a playoff team. I don't think they're getting to 7 wins this year. But if they are taking some of the things that we saw the last 2 weeks and applying it in this game, and they go out and they fight and they're competitive, and that's all I feel like I can ask from this team down the stretch, right? You have the next 2 games are arguably their 2 toughest games, against the Patriots on the road and against the Baltimore Ravens on the road. I know the Ravens record isn't any good, but they got Lamar Jackson back. It's a really hard matchup. If you're competitive in those games, even in losses, that shows me something. And maybe I'm not looking at it through the same lens that you are, Jerome, but I would take that over a 40-6 loss in prime time and a 35-10 loss the following week on the road. Because that makes me go back to how I was feeling the first 7 weeks of the year. So I think there are ways to admit, yes, the bar isn't competency, but when you start from incompetent, incremental progress, you're first going to get to competency before you're going to get to good. So you got to walk before you run. You got to crawl before you walk, before you run. And they're in the crawl stage right now. Vic from Florida is up next.
Yo, Matty. Vic from Florida. Hey, man, another win, huh? Victory Monday. Look at this. Back-to-back wins. What world are we living in? I'll take it. I don't care if Justin Fields threw for 12 yards. We won. Special teams came up big. Everybody did their job on kick return and punt return, and hey, that's what happens. Plus elite speed. You can't beat that. Hey, I love it, man. Defense playing with their hair on fire. Granted, secondary is still a little, inconsistent, but D-line looks good. Granted, it's the Browns, but we'll take it. They're NFL offensive linemen as well, so we'll take that. Huge game for Willie Mack, 4 sacks.
Yeah.
We could build on this, man. I mean, I'm looking at 2, maybe 3 more wins, and that sits us out 5 wins, 6 wins. I don't know. But my question is, if we're sitting between pick 3 and 6, okay, what do we do with our pick compensation? Do we take where we're at, tie it with the other pick, and move up to get Mendoza? Or are you a Dante Moore type of guy? What are we doing if we're not sitting at the top 3 picks with the quarterback at hand? What are we doing with our compensation? Huge tribute to Mangold, man. If you
awesome.
weren't in tears on that, you don't have a pulse. Still feeling for him and his family. God bless. I'm glad we got the win for him. Post-game speech for Aaron Glenn, we're building on it. That's what he's preaching. We're building on some of this success. So let's see what we can do. All right, another Victory Monday. Jets, Jets.
Thank you for the call. My stance right now, which is subject to change because it's still early. We're not even in mid-November yet, but I have Mendoza 1, Simpson 2. Those are the guys that I'm most confident in this quarterback class. I have a feeling Dante Moore is going to end up going back to school. Sellers and Mateer could very well end up going back to school. If both those guys are off the board before the Jets pick, I think you go best player available. I'm not selling the farm to move up for either one of those two guys. Like, I'm not selling the farm to move up to the number 1 pick just to take Fernando Mendoza. And I'm also not team you're taking a quarterback in 2027 no matter what. Like, I feel good enough with either of those two guys that if the Jets are picking 5th, let's say, and one of those two guys are there for you, then I would take them in that spot. But I'm not trading up and saying I'm going to give up the 2 first-round picks next year to go up to number 1 to take one of those two guys. Personally, that's just not what I would do. This quarterback conversation is going to be a long one, man. Going to be a long one. Jake from Jersey wants to talk about a quarterback scenario. Here's another one.
What's up, Matt? Jake from Jersey. Couple things from the game yesterday. It was nice to see a win. I can never truly root for a tank. You know, I can understand the importance of losing games for a draft pick, but it's just in my heart, I can't root for them to lose. So it's nice to see them win. It was also nice that the Dolphins and Saints won, helped things out a little bit, but the Giants losing, you can go, there's a million scenarios, but regardless, I was going to say it was very refreshing to see the team come out and play hard and play ready out of the bye. Granted, the Browns offense isn't anything to write home about, but still, it was nice that the team was ready and the team seemed like they were playing hard for Glenn. That being said, you know, I think Glenn is starting to turn a corner here. I do. I think he's starting to gain some traction. I think this coaching staff is gaining some traction. The defense looks like it's coming alive a bit more. And every game, something new is popping, it seems like. Not going to win many games with the quarterback throwing 54 yards, but, you know, that's where insert a rookie or whatever. But, yeah, man, I just want to say it's great to see them come and play nice football out of the bye. We'll see what happens. It's also nice to know that we can probably, you know, continue to win some games here and there and not have to worry too much about our draft pick because, like, regarding a quarterback, you know, we have so much ammo that, you know, we could make things happen. Also, one thing I saw on Twitter, I don't know how I feel about it, but another QB scenario, I'm going to give you a wild one. What would you do? Would you do it if it was Trevor Lawrence for 2 firsts and say a 3rd?
No.
I don't know if I would do it. I don't know if I would or wouldn't. But would you do it? Let me know, man. Excited to hear your response and go Jets.
Thank you, Jake. I would say no. I think he is very mediocre. He's had 1 year in his NFL career with a passer rating over 90, which was his 2nd season in the league. Since then, he's gotten worse. And he had the injury last year. He just hasn't played well this year. And he's paid they paid him a lot of money to be a top tier guy. And every year, I feel like in the preseason quarterback rankings, this is the year that Trevor Lawrence is going to be the top 10 quarterback. I just don't see it at this point. Does he have talent? Yeah, he does. He still makes a ton of stupid decisions, though. Not pulling the trigger, taking sacks. I would not do it for what they would likely want in return. If it was the 2 first-round picks and a 3rd, absolutely not. I think you got to swing higher than that. I wouldn't trade for Kyler Murray either. I think Trevor Lawrence is just okay. And is Trevor Lawrence better than Justin Fields? Like, if we're playing that game, yeah, he is. But do I think he's enough of a difference maker where I'm willing to give up the 2 first-round picks plus to get him? With the other issues the Jets have on this roster? No, I am not. I don't think it'd be worth it at all. Eric in Brooklyn's up next.
Matt O'Leary, what's going on, my brother? Eric calling in from Brooklyn. Appreciate you taking my call, brother.
Always.
Wow, what a win. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't the best looking win, but I'll take it. 2 in a row. Um, there's a lot to pick out of this game, even though it was sloppy. There's a lot of good things to pick out of this game, and I I was gonna call in yesterday, but I figured to call in on a Victory Monday.
Nice.
It just hits different when your team wins on a Sunday, and
It
you
does.
wake up and your team wins on a Monday. Really happy about that. Um, but yeah, I really liked how Brees Hall looked. Special teams and defense, I felt like won us this game. But I don't ever recall a time where in New York Jets history where we saw a punt return and a kick return in one game. Crazy. Justin Fields looked like Justin Fields. Terrible. Not the best. I would say it was a terrible performance, but a win's a win. Brees Hall looked really good. I do look forward to see what we do when we mix in our young receivers. Unfortunately, Garrett Wilson is hurt, but I'll take the Jets victory. So yeah, as always, go Jets.
Yeah. I am glad you enjoyed your Victory Monday. I hope it turns into a Victory Friday this week. I kind of like the optimism that you were saying there. And look, it's going to have to be like I opened the show with. It's going to have to be the Brees Hall day. It's going to have to be the defense playing like they did against Denver and Carolina day, and even against the Browns. 20 points and 6 sacks. I think you sign up for that. It's not an easy opponent. You're going up against, I said it, probably your 2 toughest games back to back here with New England on the road and Baltimore on the road. Can you show me something in these 2 games to make me continue to buy in? We're going to close with PG from Long Island up next.
Hello, Matt O'Leary, PG from Long Island here. Thank you for taking my call. So the Jets made some trades, and I would argue that the best trade they did was the one that they did not do, which is trading Brees Hall. Evidently, they didn't get the 3rd round pick they were looking for. And listen, Brees Hall has shown the last 2 weeks that he is probably the best player on the Jets. It's not a punter. We need him. They need to keep him around. They need to extend him or tag him in the short term if they have to. Because as they bring in a new quarterback, whether it's a rookie or a veteran, whoever, they're going to need him. He's really a special player. As far as the trades they did make, I understand a lot of Jet fans are upset. You saw that viral video with the kid stomping his feet and crying when Sauce got traded. Other Jet fans, most notably in the beautiful Hudson Valley, were upset. And I get it. I mean, I love Sauce and I love Quinnen, but let's face it, they got great value for those trades. Starting with those players that they got, 1st round and the 2nd round in recent drafts, the kid from Indianapolis, the receiver, he could be a legit starting receiver in the NFL. Got a lot of upside. And then they got 4 premium picks in the next 2 years, 3 first and a second. And that's how you rebuild the roster. I mean, personally, I overestimated this roster. As you know, there's a lot of holes, and the way to turn this franchise around is to hit on those picks and to get these draft picks. I mean, look, we did a lot of losing with Sauce and with Quinnen. Not their fault, but that's the fact. So needed to do something, and I give Nuji a lot of credit for actually pulling the trigger and making these trades happen. Showed a lot of tact. I think he's a legit GM. Got great value for these players, in my opinion. And I'm excited moving forward here for the franchise. But as always, Natalie, I want to get your thoughts on that. And as always, go Jets.
Thank you, PG. Go Jets is right. And I think it was, I said it at the time, I think it was a bold move. And I am cautiously optimistic about it. I think when you trade two players like that, it's hard. And in the short term, there's no denying that I think it's not making this team better immediately, but you're hoping that it makes it better over the next 2 years. And the most important thing that they have to do is find their franchise quarterback. They don't have one. And I think they need to use these assets that they got to go out and find a quarterback and make their life easier on the offensive side of the football, right? Like it frustrates me when I see mock drafts with the Jets' additional capital that they got. And it's like they're taking a quarterback and then a defensive tackle at the end of the first round. It's like, that's not the point of this. The point of this was to build out your roster and to make sure you're putting whoever it is you decide is your guy in 26 or 27 in the best situation possible. I'm not saying you completely forget about, defensive tackle and corner and linebacker, but like, I don't really want to see the mock drafts with the Jets taking a defensive tackle or a safety or a linebacker in the first round. I don't, especially in the top 10. Like there's mocks with Caleb Downs going to the Jets or a linebacker going to the Jets in the top 10 of the draft. That seems counterintuitive. I'm not saying you completely ignore those things, but I would say their need at edge is more important than using that pick on a safety or a linebacker. If you want to go on the defensive side of the ball, at least they desperately need a wide receiver too. They could use another tight end, not necessarily have to be the first round, but that's not the approach that I would take. And I hope the Jets are smart with how they allocate these resources. That's all you can ask at this point. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out for another episode. Next week, episode 300 of Just Jets. It'll be a very special episode. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe here if you're new. I'll catch you guys next time.